Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, I should say. It's 10:36 here in the Forecast Center. Wanted to bring you a quick update. A new severe thunderstorm warning has been posted for parts of Morgan and Sangamon counties. This goes until 11 a.m. The thing to note about this is that the storm has more than likely a little bit of larger hail with it than anything. And so we're jumping on here. We're on our digital platforms.
I took you off because I wasn't hearing you. Make sure your microphone's on, and then I need to make sure that I've got switchers.
I'm on here. I've got everything here, so it should be just back there. This is on. I'm here in Mike. I'm seeing things here. So we're on our digital platforms here. We're going to try and get a TV cut in. I'm live on digital, and folks can hear. And so just getting things behind the scenes taken care of. So we're on digital now. We'll jump on TV in a minute here in a second. This storm near Waverly does have my interest with some quarter, maybe even some half-dollar size hail. It's going to be on 104 to the west of Waverly and southeastern Morgan County, sliding to the east with a little southeast motion. There we go. I can hear myself in IFB as well. And so you might be able to talk to me in the back there in IFB. Again, we're just kind of coordinating behind the scenes here to get a quick cut in. This is the one severe thunderstorm warning that we have. And so you can hear me all good?
Yep.
So we want to do it 10:38?
38.
38, perfect. We're going to time that here and make it work. This warning does go until 11 o'clock. It's for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. This likely stays south of Springfield. We'll show you the sky cam in a minute. We're about 30 seconds away from jumping on TV and taking care of things. I will real quick for everyone watching. It's our only warning. Champaign-Urbana, Danville, areas like that probably done for the day. Right now, still a batch of storms from Jacksonville down towards Pana and towards Girard and even Effingham. Some of the storms trying to pulse up here a little bit. So we're going to cut into TV real quick and let folks know, and then we'll talk a little more in depth and direct them to digital. So we're about 5 seconds away from that, so go ahead and stand by. Good morning, everyone. I'm WCIA 3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. A quick update for you here. We've got another severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Morgan and Sangamon County. Quarter to maybe even some half-dollar size hail based on what we're seeing on radar in southeastern Morgan County. Sliding to the east, that's towards the Auburn, Chatham, Divernon areas eventually here with this particular storm. A bit of a hail core now moving into Waverly, and there may be some 60-mile-per-hour winds that are mixing on in there. So we'll watch it and keep you updated. We're just going to be here real brief and keep you updated. I want to let you know, though, that we are streaming on our digital platforms. We'll be there for a few more minutes to watch the storm and talk things more in depth. For most all of us today, I think the severe threat is very low. We will watch for some more pop-up scattered showers and storms this afternoon, but this one batch of storms here in Morgan, Sangamon counties will slowly move to the east and with a little more southeastward motion. Go ahead and join us on our digital platforms on Facebook, the mobile app, and more. We'll keep you updated with the chances for strong to severe storms throughout the next couple of days. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Okay, great. We are clear on TV, so we're joining folks here and letting you know what's going on. I want to talk a little bit more about this storm, and I was going to just let this one ride and not worry about it, but there was some indication of that hail size strengthening the core of the storm going up, and so the ceiling may be a little higher than what we're seeing with this warning text. This is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail until 11 a.m. We're also going to watch this storm south of Jacksonville towards Murrayville. That one seems to be starting to pulse up. As we look at our velocity product here, this is a way that we get a look at how winds are interacting and moving in the storm. A little bit earlier, something caught my eye, and it's a little hard to see it on the screen there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it full screen for you. You'll notice right near the west of Waverly, at one point it looked like we started to see some of those bright greens pick up. Green is going towards the radar. The inflow making an attempt at picking up in that area, which can be a sign that the storm's strengthening a little bit. And if you train your eye on that spot, let me get a pointer here to kind of point that out for you. If you train your eye right here, you'll notice that the edge of the storm should be right there. And that's a sign that this may be trying to strengthen, which could help that hail size go up a little bit. And we'll take another different type of velocity look now before we jump back. Again, you kind of catch maybe a little splash of brighter colors earlier on as it's taking that turn, maybe trending downward a little bit. But we're going to watch this closely here. These storms have plenty of instability and will be worth watching. Hail size, it looks like Waverly now getting some larger hail. You can see some of those blues. Some small hail. That blue usually is going to be closer to an indication of at least some coin-sized hail. And I'll query that for you and show you, see if we can. 1.1 inches there is what that is. quarter-size hail, if not a little larger. Earlier, when that inflow was trying to pick up, we may have been up to 1.5-inch hail in some localized areas. It's a small hail core, but still is there. And so that's why we're just doing a little extended digital coverage here for you in the forecast center. Let's go back to our radar. This is what you normally see. It shows us those brighter colors. The brighter the color, the stronger the look is. And really, it looks like that hail core may be trying to come up a little bit. By Waverly, down 104, you take that to the east towards Auburn. You could drop down Highway 4 towards Thayer and Verdon. Eventually, the Interstate 55, southeast of Auburn. Divernon's in that area, perhaps downstream. This may actually slip south of Auburn, the way things look. The warning does go all the way up to Interstate 72, though, and that may be to account for some of these other showers and storms trying to blossom now in the Jacksonville area. Springfield proper, you're okay. No issues for you, and that's not going to be a concern. But you get south on 55, past the Springfield Lake Bridge, the Chatham exit, down towards the Auburn Pawnee exit where the gas station is. They've got a subway there. And then you head east on 104 towards Kincaid, the big power plant off in the distance there at Lake Kincaid. Those areas may end up being more where it heads, Auburn, Pawnee, but it may even slip more south of there. And if that happens, that's going to take it towards Vernon, Divernon. We'll take it towards Morrisonville, maybe Christian County. We'll watch, and that general east-southeastward motion is something we're going to watch here. So this particular storm caught my eye. I think it was worth coming back in and just talking with you a little bit about it. The issue with today is that instability values are really high. And that was the case last night. A lot of areas that saw storms have had the atmosphere worked over, which means the storm threat is lower. Still not zero, though. We get a little sunshine maybe in some spots today. That might help that temperature to pop up. And that may give us the chance for some more scattered showers and storms, which could be strong to severe into this afternoon and tonight. Isolated to widely scattered tonight. I don't think we're dealing with a big line like we did last night. We see some of these pop-ups. That's the name of the game for today. But you see all these reports. These are all reports that came in from last night, and there's a lot more to fill in here. The National Weather Service will be updating those storm reports over the next couple of hours, and we'll see these icons fill in. First off, Jacksonville, Springfield had storms about 8 o'clock last night. They've had some more overnight. This here was a line of storms that really raced on in, and thankfully it weakened in our area. The National Weather Service actually now is heading up towards areas near London Mills, Galesburg, Knoxville, up that way. They're going to survey some pretty extensive damage up there, and we may find that they've got some 80-plus mile-an-hour winds there, which caused some widespread significant damage there. We did have some pretty significant damage as well in parts of central Illinois. Some of these icons will fill in. Chrisman, we know Chrisman got hit pretty hard by storms last night. Lots of trees down, some damage to buildings, trees, and homes there. Hume and also saw some problems. We saw Allerton with lots of trees down. A flagpole in Villa Grove was broken in half. The viewer reported that. Some trees damage in Lovington. We had some branches down across Champaign-Urbana, and even some other branches in places towards the south and east, past Sydney. Sydney had a tree come down last night. And so Jamie Mays is out checking out the damage today, and hopefully we don't add any more to her list. Now, if we look here in the Champaign-Urbana area, Broadlands, Newman, Hume, Tuscola, this area, the atmosphere has been worked over, so I'm less concerned about storms firing here. I think we're just watching just a little bit of instability still left in areas that have not had storms, and that's primarily where we see them popping here and trying to fire off pretty early. Jacksonville towards Auburn, south of Springfield, south of Taylorville, probably south of Shelbyville. Some of those batches of storms that came in this morning helped to work that atmosphere over. But when we talk about the instability in the atmosphere, there's a lot of it there. And the instability is like fuel on a fire. You don't have a fire until you get the spark, but the fuel is there and it's ready to burn. And it's been that way for a day or so now, and we're seeing some of these storms still trying to erupt in the morning hours. You normally don't get that. You wait for the heating of the day to come on in, and that's when things can trend a little higher. So we're going to watch this storm carefully here and keep an eye on it. It may pulse down, it may pulse up. It just kind of, we don't really get a great look at the instability values in the atmosphere ever. We know big picture, there's instability that is there. And that's going to help tap into some of these storms now in southern Sangamon and southern Sangamon and Morgan County, parts of Christian County. And there we go. There's that new warning that just filled on in here. That warning going to include northeastern Macoupin and the panhandle of Montgomery County. So from the Litchfield exit north on 55 to Springfield, probably going to see some strong winds come on through there, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts. And this warning will go until 11:30. The time now 10:45. So with the pair of these warnings here, it's something we're going to watch pretty closely over the next little bit, as it looks like, again, you can kind of look at these polygons they do. We don't issue warnings in counties anymore. We issue them on polygons. And that allows us to have a sliver of a county, or it allows us to warn certain areas. And usually it can give us an idea on the direction storms are going. It kind of fans out more south and east here, which we kind of mentioned. Springfield fine from this, but maybe even south of Auburn, south of Pawnee. This may be heading more towards Divernon and Raymond, Farmersville, Girard, areas like that. And if it continues that way, it may be the southwestern part of Christian County and through Montgomery County. And you get it far enough, it'd be down maybe south of Pana into Cowden, Herrick, parts of Shelby County. So we got these storms, and boy, I tell you, they're a nuisance. I don't remember the last time we had to deal with storms like this, where the chance was there for every storm to have the chance for large hail and some damaging winds, and that's been the case with this. I will say the tornado threat is low. It's not zero. It's low today, more than likely because we've had the air worked over across the region. We don't expect that. Can't rule it out. I think the better chance for maybe a tornado or two will come tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon north of Interstate 72. It may end up being closer to I-80. The way things work in these types of events is that often we will watch and see how things play out. Last night's storms came through. That gave us an idea of how this morning's storms are going to happen. This morning's storms are happening. That's going to give us an idea how this afternoon works. We've got to take it more sequentially than anything. And so that's what we'll be playing as far as the game goes here with that. So you got the screen full. What I'm doing real quick is I'm going to go, first off, I'm going to loop it. And I want to show you the last 24 hours and show you all of these storms that have rolled on through here. And while that's happening, in fact, maybe I need to do the last. Let's see, time now is 10. We're going to do the last 12 hours, I say. Maybe my data not going all the way back. So it looks like I'm only going to have data through about 5 a.m. this morning. So we'll have to do the last 6 hours and work with that. We know what's happened with these storms, though, as they've rolled on through. That first line came through, and that's what had all of the wind problems for us here in central Illinois. And last night, with all of those damage reports, of course, we've been checking our social media and seeing your reports on our Facebook page. You've sent some emails, you've sent us photos, and we appreciate that. We value our viewers and the input you give us with weather. We care about our viewers, and we care about the communities we serve, and so we're going to serve them with everything we've got, nap or no nap. Some of you who follow my page know what I mentioned, what I say. What I mean by that. So that's what we got. So I'm doing a little multitasking here. Again, it's just me today. The others may be kind of on standby for tonight, especially tomorrow's event. So we just got to watch and see how it plays out. So bear with me. I'm going to type in some text for a social media post. Severe storms south of Springfield are moving southeast towards over the next 45 minutes. Quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds expected in the warned areas. We're live on our digital platforms now. There we go. Okay, so I get that post out, and that way we just saturate social media. Saturate it because we want to get the word out to as many folks and make sure you're weather aware in these types of events. It doesn't take much to cause problems. We mentioned last night. Storms are going to be loud, and that's going to be the case for us here. And they're still probably loud now even, but they're not as widespread. That's the good news with this particular here. All right, quick radar update. Let's zoom on in a little more. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning for Morgan and Sangamon County continues until 11 a.m. It's now 11:30. And 11:30 for Macoupin and Montgomery counties. The hail, the National Weather Service is saying that maybe the hail threat coming down a little bit. And what they're seeing is that there's quite a bit of mass up aloft. We have to look at a 3D view of that storm to see that. And I won't really spend too much time doing that now on it. But think of aloft in those pinks. That's a sign of there's a lot of mass, a lot of energy aloft that can come down here. Eventually that storm has to collapse and push all of its wind down. And that's where we could see those 60-mile-an-hour winds, if not a little bit higher. We did have this morning at the Springfield Airport on the northwest side of town. Some of the storms came through. They didn't have a warning on it, and they didn't look that impressive. Pulled out a 70-mile-an-hour gust. That happened at about 7 a.m., and they followed up with some severe thunderstorm warnings because of that for those areas. So again, looking at this storm now, it's now between Waverly and Auburn, south of 104, approaching Highway 4. It'll cross Highway 4 between Girard and Auburn near Verdon. Heavy rain, some lightning and thunder likely with this. More storms behind it along and south of 104 up towards Pisgah and Jacksonville. And that batch of storms will continue to slide to the south and to the east. It appears that it is moving, and if I recall correctly, I think it's 30 mile an hour. I'm going to double check that real quick based on the latest warning that came out. But it is moving a bit more south, but still south and east here. 40 miles an hour. 40 miles an hour. That's the latest update. So we'll time this out here with this particular core. This core will not last all day, I don't think. Once the storm collapses, usually then that's it for that storm. These kind of pulse up and pulse down, but if it continues for the next hour or so, eventually it's going to make its way into southwestern Christian County, Oconee, Nokomis, Raymond, Morrisonville, Girard. You can see some of those time of arrivals there. And again, that's probably a little early. We would rather be early than late with this particular batch of storms here. So that's what we're going to watch and keep you updated on with this severe thunderstorm warning against Sangamon, Morgan counties until that goes until 11. Then we added Macoupin and Montgomery counties until 11:30. So, been a bit active, and that's what we have expected, but seeing it play out, no fun for anyone here. Here's a look at Decatur. Let's check out some of our cameras and take a peek around and see what we've got going on. With this storm we're looking off to the west and southwest. It's a bit far away. I'm going to pull up the Springfield camera here in a minute and keep an eye on it. So we'll pull that camera up in Springfield, and it should pop up here just a second. We'll probably have to turn it. We're looking west now with a slight south component, and I need to turn it a little more to the left to catch some of those storms. And we'll see if there's any lightning with them too. Lots of it. We'll see if we see any, I should say. We're looking at the back side of the storms, the north side of the storm. So primarily the rain is what you're going to see here. And you can see then behind that tower, what I suspect that is that's either a shelf cloud from the backside or a rain-free base. Had a nice shelf cloud, I tell you what, with the storms that came through during the 8 and 9 o'clock hours. Had some photos coming from Vandalia, Neoga, places like that really took a peek at it, and really impressive shots. Those have been shared on our Facebook page if you're interested in looking there. This storm probably the same. I don't see as much lightning. I tell you what, last night though, those storms, you got one of those strong to severe storms. Those storms had lots of lightning with them. And I'm just going to pull up my lightning detector here and see if we're able to. There's an indication there's still quite a bit of strength here. That's an electrical storm. That's the only way you can describe that here. Mainly Morgan County, and it seems like it's the storms behind that first storm that are more electric than anything. That storm now, the lead storm for the warning, is now sitting squarely in southwestern Sangamon County, and now moving into northeastern Macoupin County. But the lightning I'm seeing really is those couple little cells west of Waverly towards Murrayville and off towards Winchester in Scott County. That's where I'm seeing more of the lightning than anything. I'm still seeing lightning by Verdon, Girard, those areas south of Auburn. Don't get me wrong, but the bulk of the lightning seems to be with the storms behind it. And let me go ahead and pull up the lightning so we can see it here. And I'll need to switch a little setting real fast just to be able to show it properly here. So here we go, and now you'll see it pop on in there. You see most of that lightning seems to be coming from Nortonville, Reese, Waverly area. There's a few strikes over Verdon, and maybe seeing a few more pick up. But an electric storm, when we have instability values as high as they are like this, that generally is the case. High instability means lots of lightning and thunder, and that's the case for our friends in Morgan and in Sangamon County from this particular storm. Other storms, really not seeing too much lightning in Christian County. These are more pop-up showers, maybe an occasional rumble of thunder. The more lightning and thunder you hear, though, the more likely it's a severe storm. I think that's the safe bet with what we've seen so far. And this storm here near Verdon, more of a wind threat, but still maybe a little bit of hail mixed on in there. Let me just throw back on some of our hail sizes, and we'll see maybe if that's pulse down a little bit. Maybe picking up a little bit to the west. Usually that more cobalt blue color that you see there is an indication of perhaps, let's see, dime to quarter size hail in those areas here. Maybe a little pocket there, maybe a little pocket coming into Verdon. So we'll see if there's anyone that's there. You know, the grays, pea size, you know, very small. So there's not a lot of big hail with this, and that's good for this particular set of storms. The wind threat, though, probably the bigger story for us here with that, and kind of looking at some different products and sliding things around. We'll take different angles. Seems like to me, yeah, the wind threat's going to be a little bit more of the issue. And the thing about this is these storms also, I don't see bright reds and greens. I see red and I see green, but I don't see the bright colors. I don't see them together, which that's when you look for rotation. But I don't see an indication of bright colors pushing out. We saw that with that squall line last night. Boy, did that thing really rock and roll southeastern Champaign County down towards Douglas, Edgar County, southern Vermilion County. That's not the case here. Instead of what's happening is with this storm here, this is more of a signal, the red away, the green going towards. The core of the storm sitting overhead is dropping its mass, and we're seeing winds blow that way and this way, so it's moving outward, more of a sign of a downburst than anything. You'll have a lot of rain and maybe some small hail above, and it's heavy. There's a lot of weight to it. Once gravity wins, it pulls it straight downward. It hits the ground, it's going to blow outward, and that's what we're seeing here based on radar. So not a significant sustaining wind threat, but it still will have a threat for some of those downburst winds here of up to 60 mile an hour, maybe a little higher than that as that rolls on through. All right, we got some folks that are asking about what's next. What do we expect for the rest of the day? Let me get my future track up here and show you what we expect. I needed to edit a thing or two real quick. And this is just the latest data. So I don't have necessarily a confirmation that it's dead set correct, but here we are at 11 o'clock. You'll notice it didn't really pick up on those storms that are popping up in Morgan and Sangamon County. Future track wants to say it's supposed to be dry. It did do a good job with those earlier storms, and that usually is telling for us of, okay, if the models aren't picking up on things, then what's going to happen with those things? And that's the nature of the game with today's type of event. You get the pop-up storms. Sometimes our weather models are as great as they are, don't pick up on things, but we're able to observe that and understand what's going on. There is a boundary that's in place right here, and that boundary may be the focus for some more pop-up showers and storms here. The timing, more than anything, going to be a little off with this storm as it moves on through. So here we go towards the 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock hour. It's showing it more dry than not. Mattoon, Charleston, Paris, Danville, Champaign, can't rule out a stray shower. We get into the afternoon then, if we get a little sunshine in some spots, those instability values will go right back up. So if you don't want big storms again, you want it to stay cloudy all day. That doesn't guarantee you, it just lessens your chance. You'll notice here by 2, 3 o'clock, look in western Illinois, Future Track wants to have a couple of isolated cells there. And by 3, 4 o'clock, they start approaching the area, and we'll see what happens. If we keep that cloud cover to the east here, it'll lose instability. There won't be enough energy there for them, and they may kind of meander downwards. So here we go, 5, 6 o'clock. A lot of dry time. I think the atmosphere pretty much worked over from Paris, Decatur, Lincoln, maybe as far south as Mattoon, Charleston. But that doesn't mean that we still can't get some storms. It just means the severe threat may be a lot better off for the region here. But we're going to watch it, keep our eyes close on it. Interestingly enough, then, as we go into tonight, it tries to pop up a few more of these showers and storms here. A lot of times what happens at night is, first off, the low-level jet will pick up. Second off, you can sometimes cool the air aloft, which can help increase instability even more. And that may be allowing for some more pop-up showers and a few thunderstorms tonight. They don't look nearly as impressive as they did last night, but it's something that we'll still have to watch and keep our eyes on. This is our Storm Prediction Center outlook for the day today. A slight risk of severe weather, basically south of Interstate 72-74. That's that yellow area. That's the slightly higher chance of seeing a strong storm, but still to the north of there, a level 1 marginal risk is in place. And really for the impacts, not only today, but even tomorrow. I'll tell you more about the severe threat upcoming tomorrow in a minute. Tornado threat remains low. It's not zero, but it's pretty darn low. We just never say never with these types of events. Large hail, high winds, medium threat. That's what we'll expect to see in these areas. And keep our eyes on. And then, of course, flooding. We've seen some issues in areas where those storms have stalled out. So that hail may get up to $half size in initial storms, but it seems like the wind threat is what wins out here moving forward. This is that tornado risk for today. It's only a 2 out of 10. Springfield, Taylorville, Effingham, Mattoon, Charleston, Jacksonville. a low but not low non-zero threat for the region. That large hail risk, you see it's more south, and even with the damaging wind risk, it's more south than anything. We just can't rule it out area-wide. You get instability in place and you get a storm to form, and that's going to allow for some issues to happen. Let's real quick talk about tomorrow. And what I want to do real quick is grab the SPC risk day 2, and I'll add that into my graphics and show you here. That SPC risk for tomorrow has my eye a little bit more. And the reason for that is I think tomorrow may allow for a little more of some other things to take place. So let me see here. Can't get that to work, so what I'm going to have to do is, I think I could just play it right here and I'll pop it up on the graphics. So there you go. This is tomorrow. It's still a slight risk. What we've done is we've basically inverted who's and what. Today the better chance is south, tomorrow the better chance is north, and it may be even more Bloomington, Pontiac, Watseka tomorrow. So we're going to watch and see. We got to watch how today's storms evolve. We've got to watch how tonight evolves, and we'll watch what tomorrow evolves here. But interestingly enough, the tornado risk tomorrow is already up to, this is today's tornado risk. The tornado risk tomorrow is up to a 4 for Bloomington, Pontiac, and Watseka. It's a 2 then on the Interstate 72-74 corridor, a 1 to the south. We think there may be a cluster of some supercells that come in northwestern Illinois, and those could clip our areas. You go 30 miles south, we're seeing a lot more of that. 30 miles north, though, it's up by I-80. So we're going to watch tomorrow fairly closely here. The hail risk seems to be more concentrated out of our area. It's about the lowest you can get here. The wind risk, though, does pick on up. Some of those storms may end up becoming more linear in nature tomorrow, too, in the afternoon and evening hours, which would allow for maybe a better chance for some of those strong gusty winds in the air. So we're going to watch tomorrow and see how it evolves. We've got plenty of time to do so. If you want to read more about that, you can do so on the WCIA 3 weather app, WCIA.com. I'll have more updates again at 6 and 10 o'clock tonight. So what we've got is just one set of warnings here. The warning actually for Morgan and Sangamon County has been allowed to expire. We'll jump back to radar and show you the polygon no longer there. Seems like that leading cell has slipped in to far northwestern Macoupin County. It's now heading towards the panhandle of Montgomery County north of Farmersville. Farmersville sits right there. That's Farmersville. So likely a lot of lightning and thunder in those areas. Still the chance for some hail and some wind. You're seeing this storm here. In fact, if we look, let me back this up real quick. I'm going to go the last 30 minutes. I think we're going to, okay, so that's that little cell that was coming out earlier, not warned, near Morrisonville. Look how that one just came from Raymond. Here we go. This is at 10:48, right there, Raymond. Just a sprinkle at the I-55 exit for Raymond to the west of there. And from 10:48 through 11:03, now we've got a fairly decent cell there. Probably some good lightning south of Morrisonville. Probably not really any hail at this point, no wind, no severe threat, but it came up pretty quick. Not as quick as some of our storms last night. Some of our storms last night, they got going in a hurry in central Illinois and caused some problems, and so we'll watch it. But we're going to keep an eye on this storm here. Now just Macoupin, Montgomery County with the severe thunderstorm warning for quarter hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. That goes until 11:30. No indication if they plan on letting it early, keeping it, but they think that there may be some straight-line winds that, some downburst winds that are able to materialize for some of those areas. So they may keep that warning all the way through 11:30. All right, so let's hit the reset button real quick and show you the entire viewing area. You'll notice in the last hour, I think this is where our storms are going to be concentrated for the lunch hour here, and maybe through the day. Fingers crossed we play that game, keep them there. A little boundary that kind of settled in here last night, a little outflow boundary. And so we'll watch it here, but that may be the source for some of these storms to fire. Can't rule it out elsewhere. You know, if you're at Clinton Lake, you're probably going to be fine today. You know, Decatur Lake, if you're boating, or any of those lakes in the area, Shelbyville, Lake Shelbyville, maybe a little closer. But more than likely, I think the day turns dry with just some pop-ups here and there. Not like a widespread rain event like we had yesterday, especially last night. That may not be the case tomorrow. And what I'll do real quick is I'll flip the graphics onto something else. I'll show you the latest future track into tomorrow. So here we go overnight tonight. We're sitting at 6 a.m. Dry, some sprinkles, should be fine out the door tomorrow morning early. But there's a couple of things we're going to have to watch. First off, you'll notice here these storms that are to the north and west, I'm going to be interested in how they evolve. Future track has said, hey, look, they kind of die out. but some new ones pop up ahead of it here. And you'll notice by 10 a.m. it's trying to suggest we may have an isolated storm in Pontiac. That would probably be more of a hail threat if we can get an isolated storm. And I don't want to say Pontiac, don't pencil in at 10 o'clock tomorrow you're getting a storm. We're looking at the trends here to understand what it's doing and what it's saying. If we get that early on, you have that outflow boundary, it'd be much like we're seeing now. Maybe a little more hail threat with some cooler air aloft and that front coming on in. The main event tomorrow, though, I think is really coming into the afternoon. Here we are, 1 o'clock. There's that strong line of storms, then, more linear in nature. Some data had been suggesting it might be more isolated cells. In fact, we start getting 3 o'clock. Maybe we are trying to get a little more isolated look here north of Interstate 72, 74. That's why that risk tomorrow a little bit higher to the north than anything. That clears it on through. And then we get into tomorrow night, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. I think tomorrow night we'll play the same game as we did last night. Nobody wants to do that, right? And watch for these clusters of strong to severe storms with some wind potential really rip on through the area. And they may clear out again, starting to weaken late at night. So that's something we're going to watch and keep you updated on. Just know that basically at this point forward, any storm that forms and sustains itself will have a low chance for some strong to severe weather today, tomorrow, into early Monday morning. There may be a higher potential Sunday afternoon to the north. There may be a higher potential late Sunday night into Monday morning for all of us for some of these storms. That's what we're going to watch and keep our eyes on. But some batches of severe storms expected on and off through the day today into tomorrow. It is 11:07. Let's finish up with one last check of radar. Then I'm going to turn this Carnarvon wagon off and watch behind the scenes and try and finish a nap before we have to do the afternoon and evening shift and watch more of these storms. I think Kevin will be watching and keeping an eye on it too. And then we're more interested kind of internally. We've been talking about tomorrow afternoon, seeing what happens. Not everyone gets a storm. And that's something I like to stress is you may get a threat for severe weather. It doesn't mean you're getting a storm, though. It means if you do get a storm, then there's a threat for severe weather. Some folks, I think, get mad at us. They say, well, you said severe storm, but I didn't get anything. Well, these are more scattered in nature. Last night, some folks did get them, and I bet they'd trade you their tree damage for your complaints that we've had here. A lot of tree damage in parts of southeastern Champaign, southern Vermilion, Edgar, and Douglas counties. Other areas as well across the region. So we're just watching this little storm here. One warning, if there's more, I'll post. I hope there's not, and I wouldn't necessarily anticipate there being. But, we'll jump in if we need to. If it's looking a little more impressive like I thought that one was for a little bit, just to kind of monitor things. So expect it. The greatest thing is have your phone. The WCIA 3 weather app will keep you updated on that. You get an alert for your area, or you want to check radar, or see the forecast. It's all right there for you at the convenience for your fingertips to just peruse on through as you would like. It is 11:08 p.m., a.m. I should say. Feels like p.m. I don't know what time it is. We're going to sign off here and call it a morning, hopefully for now. I hope I don't have to talk to you again until the 6 o'clock news tonight. We'll hear about some damage and more and keep you updated. I know we've got Jamie out, and that's what we got. So.